Sean, thanks very much for taking some time to join us on 10 Minutes with Gallo. I know you must be quite busy with all these COVID-19 protocols that's happening and gearing up for opening sometime. Not quite sure when that's going to happen, but we'll have a discussion around that. So just for the viewers and listeners, Sean Granger is the general manager of Granny Mouse Country Lodge and Spa. Is that correct, Sean? Have I got it right?
Granny Mouse Country House and Spa, correct.
So do you want to tell us quickly a little bit about your property and where it's situated? I know it's in KwaZulu-Natal, but if you can just elaborate a little bit more.
Well, Granny Mouse Country House and Spa has been operating for around 35 years now as a brand, and situated in the KZN Midlands, so right in the heart of the KZN Midlands in KwaZulu-Natal. And the property itself has expanded over the years, and currently with current owner, we are 32 rooms in total, 2 restaurants, a conservatory, a spa, 2 bars, a river walk, and plenty of other things to do in and around the property. So at this point in time, it's probably at most in the heart of the Midlands. It's the place to stay to make sure you can get to see and do everything. So I know, Mr. Shanker, you have not been here yet.
No, I haven't. I intend to come and visit you sometime when I get that invitation.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just waiting for your invitation. You're not saying yay or nay.
Well, we'll speak privately. We'll speak
privately. Absolutely. So we're really touching on COVID-19 and the impact that it has on hospitality, not only hospitality, but just human life and people going through depression, etc., etc. I was having a look at the figures today, and we well over 55, around about 55,000 confirmed cases, with over 1,200 deaths at the moment, and worldwide 7.5 million cases, with over 420,000 deaths at the moment. It's ludicrous. And what's your opinion? Do you think it's going to get any better eventually or not?
I think technically speaking, if you look at South Africa, we are probably positive case-wise sitting on about 1% of total South Africans, give or take, obviously. But in reality, I think one has to look at the other countries and say what percentage of their population in their countries when they hit their peak. Yeah. So the question would be, have we hit our peak? And I think we are about to hit the peak at the moment. If you had to ask me, hence the fact the numbers are climbing so steeply, but it's very short-lived. If you look at the curve of every other country, as soon as they hit their peak, given or take 1% of their population, they peaked out. So I think positive-wise, we're probably looking at close to our peak. Mm-hmm. But then if you look at the recoveries that we have, our recoveries are a lot more far higher, and our deaths are a lot more lower than most countries when they had their COVID. So I think positively wise, we're probably handling it correctly.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then in terms of your staff complement at your current property, have they been given time off? Or I know a lot of hotels are going through retrenchments at the moment, but what's happening at your property?
Well, at the moment, I got 53 staff members. Yeah. They went immediately from March, towards the end of March, immediately to annual leave. So we afforded them annual leave, okay. Everybody. Okay. And from there, it went on to UIF tiers, mm-hmm. Whereby obviously the UIF for the next 3 months. But I mean, that's coming up shortly, whereby June is the sort of last month mm-hmm. for the UIF relief fund. Yeah. So it makes it very difficult. I haven't retrenched anybody at the moment, and we luckily we're in a situation where we can still do the UIF. Mm. But I think that's coming to a close scenario whereby if COVID does not turn and the industry does not open, sure. we may have a scenario where those effects will take effect literally on my staff.
No, absolutely. And I think businesses have to make those calculated decisions if and when the time is there. I'm sure you're taking your staff lifestyles and their well-being into consideration first, but then also you have the business sense talking on the other side.
No, absolutely. I think from a business point of view, we still have to maintain the property.
Yep.
Because the property doesn't look after itself. We can't use the staff to look after the property.
Right.
But we have a contact scenario where we remain in contact with our staff via WhatsApp. So we send out relief messages and making sure everybody's okay. And they have a point of contact where if something happens, they can still make contact with us to let us know if something has happened. But for now, I think everybody's just at home. And as we receive news in, for whatever reason, being it the industry, being it UIF payments, we make sure that we send that messages out with positivity to our staff.
Sure.
And that's at the moment all we can do. There's nothing much we can do. I mean, as like everybody else, we sit back and it's a waiting game.
Yeah. What's your sort of opinion in terms of when hotels will be open to the public? When do you think it's going to happen?
Well, look, at the moment, it's a very scary thought because depending on your location is whether you can open for business travelers at current level we're sitting on at the moment.
Yeah.
But in the Midlands, business travelers are city-based. So whether you're in Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, those larger cities, it makes it much easier to open it up and sort of ease into the scenario. Where I'm based, as being Granny Mouse, it makes it a lot more difficult because no one's really going to stay over to travel to a city. They have the direct flights, which we all know is running at the moment limitedly.
Very limited.
That's no demand. There's no demand at the moment for where I'm situated at the moment. So if I have to look at the scenario where, let's say, Granny Mouse and the Midlands would open, we're hoping level 2. That may be in July.
Sure.
There's huge talk of international traveling coming back in September.
Sure.
But yet again, all unconfirmed. Between you and I, we can probably throw the dice and hope for the best.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
if I had to say, you're probably looking towards the end of June, possibly even beginning of July. And that's looking positively forward.
Are you talking about next year?
No, this year.
Okay.
This year.
Well, that's looking positively. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, where hotels will open. But the bulk of your guests is obviously leisure travelers.
Correct. So I do roughly 90%
Wow.
domestic travel for Africans.
Okay.
So the international market, yes, I do 10% of my business is international market. But then again, we're off the slightly beaten track. So hence the fact we do domestic market. And if you look at the hospitality opening up in South Africa, it will be predominantly domestic market, first and foremost.
100%.
So that's what we're looking for. And I think that the adaptability of those who would predominantly do international traveling, who come and stay with you, I would say the adaptability to change the domestic market is going to be quite difficult to do. But then again, change is a good thing.
Sure.
Maybe looking at different.
You're breaking up a little bit. I didn't get what you said. You said it's going to be quite challenging. And
it will be challenging for properties who base their business on international travel.
Yeah, 100.
Travelers are coming internationally.
Sure.
But the adaptability will have to be how quick you can change to make sure that you open up the domestic market.
Sure. How do you think the ban on tobacco and alcohol with making alcohol available to people at this stage? How's it affecting you guys on that side in KwaZulu-Natal? Good or
Very
bad?
contentious issue.
Yeah,
Very
well,
contentious.
this is what I'm asking. Your opinion.
Tobacco itself has its own industry that's going to have difficulties. I mean, that is purely based on the country itself dealing with that. And I'm not a smoker myself, so I can't really comment on that. But I would imagine that it's hard for most people to not have a cigarette.
Yeah.
The alcohol side of things will probably be back for our industry with stringent demands. In other words, if you had to look at the Disaster Management Act, whereby you couldn't sell after 6 o'clock in the evening and so forth, that is probably what's going to happen as soon as we open up. But it won't last forever. Normality will come back, and the sense of what business would be will come back. That's just a question of time.
Just a question of time.
And again, adaptability.
Talking about adaptability and COVID-19 protocols that's coming into hotels. As an example, you have to wear your mask, and you have to have, when your restaurant opens, you're going to have a certain 2 meters tables that's apart, and you're going to have a certain space cordoned off if guests feel ill or if they're waiting and they have to stand in a queue. What's your opinion in terms of the guest satisfaction component when it comes to staff satisfying the guests' needs? Because after all, that's really why they're there. They're there to be satisfied and have a good time in any property that they stay in.
Look, I think at the moment it's difficult, and I don't think there's one person that can say they don't know that you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
They don't know that there will be protocols in place, or let's call it rules in place.
Yeah.
So I think it's, from an ease point of view, that makes it a little bit more easier. However, how does for instance, a 5-star hotel still maintain their 5-star delivery and standards?
Exactly.
I don't think there's no way that you will receive your butter in a nice bell butter jar with a nice silver cloche delivered to your room or put on your table. I think those days are slightly in the past.
Yeah.
So what is considered 5-star, what is considered 4-star, what is considered 3-star, and the deliveries around such.
Sure.
I think at the moment, the only delivery we're looking at is, can we deliver a certain expectation to a guest to make sure that they receive a value, what they perceive as a value, to what they're paying per night.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, that adaptability comes in whereby I think a more humanely sort of aspect is brought into the hotel, not necessarily the strict yes sir, 3 bags full sir. Yeah. It's got to be built around a humane factor, because that's what we're dealing with at the moment.
Yeah.
Is humans, and how do we deal from one human to the next without making sure we put someone in harm's way? So for now, I think those protocols as being what is your star standard is completely out the window.
Out the window.
Yes, you want to make it professional. You want to make it professional. You want to make it good and something memorable. The ways and means of adapting to that will be, that's where your staff and your management come in, to be a little bit more humane towards guests.
Wow. So in terms of yourself, I mean, how have you been keeping yourself sane and busy during this time, besides work?
Well, I can tell you, I'm on duty every day at the property, and I'm very proficient in ride-on mowers.
Okay.
Hedge trimmers and weed eaters, and picking up loads and loads of leaves because it's turning into winter. So, but besides that, I keep very fit in those sort of means.
Right.
But the normal basics of marketing and keeping up with everybody that needs to be kept up with is still happening.
Sure. And then in terms of the people around you, not just your staff, but family and friends, how has this virus affected you?
Well, it's, you know, from a family point of view, my children on a personal note are in Cape Town, and Cape Town being the province being the highest with COVID in the country, and climbing by the day, if not by the second.
Sure.
It gets worrying that my children are there and I'm here, and it makes it very difficult to not see them. but you just remain in contact, and whether it's a message or a video call or a WhatsApp call or something, to remain in contact with family and friends, I think is important, because that's part of your sanity. Isolation is a huge stress factor. So nobody wants to sit in isolation, and unfortunately in the Midlands we're very much in isolation. But there are people around, and you still get to see those and that you work with on a daily basis. But from a family point of view, it does make it stressful. Question would be, who does not stress? Everybody stresses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm not quite sure in terms of how what your opinion is on these conspiracy theories that is running wild. I don't know if you know David Icke. It's mentioning that this virus is man-made, and have you heard anything of that or not? What's your opinion on that?
If you had asked my opinion, I think it's definitely man-made.
Yeah.
I think it was sent out with a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that will eventually come out down. Who knows? We can all say, and we can all have our own opinions. Yeah. But I think the facts are there, and I think the facts will become reality very soon within the world environment. And let's see who will take action to sort that out. But for now, if you had to ask me, which you have, I would say it's definitely man-made.
And do you think that's to control numbers, or why do you think it's man-made?
Difficult to say, but I think there's a power play, or a power shift that somebody wants to do, and that is to take effect within certain countries, and that's just my opinion. I think it's to get back at somebody, and it's harsh reality. Harsh reality. I think it's born down to payback, and that's just my opinion. Because if I have to look at how it's going in the world, that's how I see it.
I hear you. And a lot of people are not even gone back to work at the moment. A lot of people are at home. For those people that are at work, some of them are not even working full time. Some of them are working 3 days a week, maybe, if they're lucky. And the work environment, of course, is not the same. And it is affecting people in every single way possible. I mean, if I look at you, it's just yourself and somebody else at your property that's working at the moment. So it's abnormally normal.
Correct. Well, they say the new norm is to work from home.
Oh, is it?
But in our industry, being hospitality, I don't really see how you can run and serve a hotel from home. But the new norm would be, for now, probably work from home, and those who can work from home, yes.
Yeah.
The question would be, business-wise, does it make good business sense? Because when you're sitting at home, it adds a different reality to what you need to do and how quick you need to do it.
You have to be self-disciplined.
You're sitting in an office, or you're sitting at your work environment, that forces you to make sure that your angles, your delivery, what needs to happen, payments, what reality is there, to make sure that the world around you can tick over.
Yeah.
So it makes it very difficult. And again, that strange word, adaptability, comes into play. So yes, the new norm, or the abnormal, is to work from home. But for us as hospitality, it's a different kettle of fish.
Absolutely.
You have to be on site. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if you look at your finance departments and your sales and marketing, you possibly would encourage them to work from home. But again, I mean, hotels are almost like I suppose any business, whether it's well run or not, is like a family. And so you're almost dividing people from that family. So it is abnormal.
Oh, look, it is. You admin guys, you can, but it's easier to find information on site than to try technicalities of trying to log in
Yeah.
and do something off site. I mean, you can see with bad weather, this video call alone is already been affected by bad weather.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult, but then again, the difficulty of COVID is exactly that. How quick can we get rid of COVID to make sure normality returns? You and I can't say that. I wish I could, but now we have to find better ways of communicating and better ways of doing the proper work on site or off site. Whatever that means, come to light. If that means you got to now upgrade your technology, that's more costing on the company just because of COVID. So there's a lot of cost factors that come into to play with that, and we have to find the most cost-effective way, whether on-site or off-site, to make it happen.
100%. And then, if you had the powers and the means or a decision that you could make to make this world, as we stand, a better place, what would you do and why would you do it?
Sheesh. I don't think there's anybody that can answer that.
Yeah.
But in a perfect world, in a perfect world, it's if you had any means, probably foresight, so you could see forthcoming of what needs to happen. And if you had the means and resources to sort it out, whether that's medical, pharmaceutical, scientific, probably put those measures in place to make sure something like this never happens again. But they say every 100 years, there's something of this nature that does happen. So we know the time frame because it's there as proof.
Yeah.
So maybe look towards the next 100 years to see what can we do better to make sure something like this never happens again.
Yeah, we have to prepare.
That's all in the sky, because you and I definitely can't support that.
Yeah. And of course, we'll be long gone in 100 years.
Well, I don't know. Will we?
That's a topic for some other day.
Absolutely.
Sean, so I mention to everybody that we are people through other people. That's really what it is. How can people support Sean Granger and the Granny Mouse Country Lodge and Spa, Country House and Spa, sorry. How can they support you to support others?
Well, look, at this point in time, our staff base is all local. I mean, we don't go far wide to find our ground staff. Mm-hmm. So we support the local base here. Okay. At this point in time, there's nothing. So, the most important thing is that if you want to travel, when this lockdown eventually is lifted, is that you want to travel to the countrysides. You don't want to be in a city, because that airiness of, is COVID still there because of population, is probably still hanging around. So I would say come to the countrysides, come to where it's fresh air, it's open, you can still walk around in the open air, in the environment, and it's less stress. And support us as being what we do, as supporting our locals to provide employment for such people that they can also live. So it's important that we support businesses who have employment with local entities, to say that we want to make sure that every human being can at least survive, so they can earn a salary, that there's something that they can work for. So if you want to, come out to Granny Mouse Country House and Spa. Come support us in the Midlands Meander. Come and support the Midlands Meander to show that we are supporting our locals. And travel and be safe, because you're out in the open air, in the environment, in the countryside. That's great. I mean, at this point in stage, the winter's coming, so the cold air is a little bit here, but there's plenty of fireplaces to keep you warm.
That's a salesperson of a general manager there, right there. Well done. So, Sean, anything that you want to tell our viewers or listeners just before we go?
Yeah, well, look, as one human to the next, be safe, do the right thing, take the right precautions. And no one ever said you cannot stop talking to people. No one ever said you cannot stop interacting. Be yourself, protect yourself, and help others protect themselves as well. But be human, most of all.
That's some very, very wise words there, Mr. Sean Granger. Wow, very powerful, extremely powerful. Sean, it's been really, really amazing to have you on my show as one of the first people that will actually be aired on the show. From the 2nd of July, we will be going live on YouTube, and I'll be putting on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you very much for taking the time to be on my show. It says 10 minutes with Gallo. Of course, dependent on the conversation, 10 minutes with Gallo can mean 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour. So it is a play on. Again,
time as we know it has changed. So time as we know it has changed. So Gallo, great initiative, and good to get the word out to industries and sectors. I think what you're doing is great. So well done, and kudos to you, as they would say. But it's been awesome, and yeah, thank you very much.
It has been awesome. I mean, we haven't seen each other for many years. We may have been chatting to each other every 6 months or so, but we haven't seen each other. And thanks very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you.